Hello, this is Reiko Osoroshi. On this channel, I introduce Japanese ghost stories. I would be delighted if through this channel, people could develop an interest in Japanese history, culture, folklore, and subculture. Today's ghost story is about cursed poison and the blue soul and the cricket. Cursed poison. This is a story from when I was around 10 years old. I have to admit, I was a mischievous kid back then. Growing up in the countryside with not much to do, nature was abundant. As a result, I would play by hitting frogs against trees until they died or pouring hot water from the kettle into ant nests to wipe them out. I was just a kid who enjoyed playing like that, harming living things that were plentiful around me. However, now I can't even touch, let alone look at, insects anymore. The turning point was the cursed poison. This happened when I was about 10 years old. Even though I say it myself, I was a mischievous kid back then. Growing up in the countryside with not much to do, the natural world was rich. So, I used to play by hitting frogs against trees until they died, pouring boiling water from the kettle into ant nests to wipe them out, and engaging in such activities that involved harming living things. There were plenty of living creatures around, and for some reason, back then, I found pleasure in killing them. However, now I can't even touch, let alone look at, insects anymore. The turning point was the cursed poison. Cursed poison is something people might be familiar with from manga or other media. It's a story where various creatures like insects and snakes are gathered together, and they fight each other until only the strongest one survives. Then, that surviving creature is used to curse someone you dislike. So, I decided to try it myself. It was during summer vacation, and I was bored, so I started collecting all the insects I could find and putting them in a plastic case. I remember there were grasshoppers, praying mantises, ants, spiders, ladybugs, stag beetles, crickets, frogs, lizards, and even things like grass and cicada shells that I put in. Apparently, you're supposed to gather poisonous creatures, but being just a child, it didn't matter much to me. After spending about half a day collecting all those creatures, the inside of the case was in a terrible state. Everything was piled up, and the creatures were squirming around, causing a massive traffic jam inside. It was so creepy that I couldn't bear to look at it directly, but after finishing, I simply dug a shallow hole in the yard, buried the case in the soil, and considered it done. After that, I kind of forgot about it for a while, and by the time I remembered, summer vacation was almost over. During the daytime, I went to dig up the buried case in the yard. I was a bit scared as I was doing it. I thought there would be dead bodies of insects all packed inside the case. However, when I opened it up, it was different from what I expected. Other than some grass that I had thrown in, the case was filled with black muddy water. It seemed that it had rained during the time it was left buried, and maybe I didn't close the lid tightly enough. I thought about it as I opened the case. And it was there, the survivor. I couldn't quite make out what it was, but it moved incredibly fast. It jumped around, and before I knew it, it somehow stuck to my arm, and I felt a sharp pain. I think it bit me. It quickly let go and went somewhere else, but the place where it bit me hurt like crazy, as if I had been stabbed with a needle. The pain was so intense that I dropped the case right there on the ground. From the splattering muddy water, various remains of insects, wings, frog-like bones, and other indistinguishable creepy remnants came out. But I was not focused on that. The bitten spot turned red, and I thought it might be swollen, but it swelled up immediately, and it was abnormal. In no time, my arm swelled up to the size of a golf ball. I went home crying, and I ran to my grandpa saying, I got stung by an insect. Then, it became a huge commotion. They drove me to the hospital, and later, they transferred me to a bigger hospital. The doctor asked what had stung me, and when I answered, cursed poison, he gave me a really strange look. After that, I had a high fever, lost consciousness, and it was apparently touch and go for the first 2 to 3 days. It was almost life-threatening. In the end, I was hospitalized for nearly a month. After being discharged, I got severely scolded by my parents and grandpa, and they made me promise never to do such a thing again. But honestly, I didn't need that promise because I was the one who got scared the most. During my hospital stay, I had many nightmares of being killed by insects. I ended up not just having a phobia but a complete entomophobia, so I moved to the city after middle school. I'll say it just in case, but you should never imitate something like that. If you do it seriously, you will probably die. The Blue Soul and the Cricket. This happened on a hot summer day. We, three close friends who were all hairstylists, decided to have a drinking party to cool off. As the party progressed, the conversation became lively. Then, one of us brought up the following. By the way, today I heard a story about the Blue Soul at Mount A from a customer. We've been living in this area, but we've never been there. How about going there today for a little adventure? We were all curious and open to new experiences, so we thought it could be a fun story to share with others. And decided to go on a ghost hunt to a remote spiritual spot deep in the mountains. This is a story from a hot summer day. We, three close friends who were hairstylists, were having a drinking party, which also served as a way to beat the heat. As the party progressed, the conversation became livelier. Then, one of us brought up something like this. By the way, I heard from a customer today about the Blue Soul at Mount. We've been living in this area, but we've never been there. How about going there today for a little thrill? Being curious and open to new experiences, we thought it could be a fun story to tell others. And decided to go on a ghost hunt to a remote spot in the mountains where this phenomenon was said to occur. The place was famous for having a memorial for war dead, attracting visitors from all over the country. Locals had long been spreading rumors that spirits appear at a certain time on a certain day during the Bon Festival. I had also heard about it. At first, I hesitated to visit such a place because it was a memorial for war dead. But influenced by the excitement of the drinking and a carefree attitude of, it should be fine if we go with friends, I agreed to go along. To reach the memorial deep in the mountains, we had to climb up a staircase. I regretted starting to climb halfway, as I was panting for breath. A friend who was walking ahead turned back and called out, "Hurry up!" Startled, I quickened my pace and accidentally slipped on the staircase, falling. Trying to correct my posture, I ended up falling into a depression next to the staircase. I felt a sharp pain in my waist. I could see a damp ground covered in moss right in front of me, but what caught my attention was the large number of crickets there. With my body unable to move, crickets started to gather around me in the damp moss. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The sound echoed, and I felt my consciousness drifting away. I couldn't move even if I wanted to escape due to the pain in my waist. My friends seemed to be unaware that I had slipped off the staircase and continued to move forward. Surrounded by the eerie presence of the mass of crickets, I felt a chill down my spine. Then, my phone rang. It was a call from one of my friends. Finally noticed, huh? Relieved, I tried to press the answer button on my phone. At that moment, a blue spirit appeared right in front of me. This can't be real. I tried to shout, but my body seemed paralyzed. I couldn't move or make a sound. The blue spirit floated before me, and I was trapped among the crickets, unable to escape. Its punishment for approaching the memorial for war dead as a joke. A sense of regret overwhelmed me. Gradually, I began to hear echoing voices. Help! 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 It wasn't my own voice, it sounded like the voices of the war dead filled with deep sorrow. Before I knew it, I started to lose consciousness. When I woke up, I was lying on my bed. Checking the clock, it was already past noon the next day. My friends had found me in the depression, helped me, and carried me back home. Fortunately, I didn't suffer any major injuries, and my condition gradually improved as I rested at home. With my mind and body calming down, I told my friends about the incident of slipping off the staircase the night before. However, they said the depression where I fell was bare rock with no moss growing, and there were no crickets or any insects there. They also mentioned that I seemed extremely frightened when they rescued me. Although I had no memory of it, apparently, I kept repeating, "Help! Help!" over and over. I want to believe that the blue spirit and the crickets were just hallucinations caused by my drunken state. How was it? If you have any other stories you would like me to introduce or any questions about the stories, please leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode.